At 79 years old, Ed O'Neill has finally broken his silence about the co-stars who made his life a living nightmare. For decades, the legendary actor behind Al Bundy and Jay Pritchett kept his mouth shut about the backstage battles that nearly destroyed his career. But now, with nothing left to lose, he's revealing the shocking truth about 5 actors who crossed lines so unforgivable that he vowed never to work with them again. What you're about to hear will change everything you thought you knew about Hollywood's most beloved shows. This isn't just gossip or tabloid rumors. These are documented feuds, explosive confrontations, and behind-the-scenes controversies that tore apart TV families and left permanent scars. Buckle up, because Ed O'Neill's list of enemies is more shocking than you could ever imagine. Number 1 on O'Neill's list might be the most devastating betrayal in television history. Amanda Bearse, his longtime co-star and supposed friend on Married with Children, became his most bitter enemy over what started as a simple magazine cover shoot. But what really happened goes much deeper than anyone realized. In 1989, TV Guide wanted to feature the Bundy family on their cover, but there was a problem. Amanda Bearse and David Garrison, who played the neighbors, were deliberately excluded from the shoot. The magazine claimed they had a rule about how many actors could appear on one cover, though they had broken this rule for shows like MASH and Dallas. When Amanda and David confronted Ed in front of the entire cast and crew, demanding he fight for their inclusion, O'Neill made a decision that would haunt him for decades. He looked them straight in the eyes and said absolutely not. "I'm not going to risk losing this cover for anyone." The silence that followed was deafening. Amanda's face went pale with shock and rage. From that moment on, their friendship was over, and the toxic atmosphere on set became unbearable. But the real bombshell came years later, when Amanda deliberately excluded Ed from her wedding guest list. When he confronted her about the snub, she delivered a crushing blow, telling him it was a tough call, but his presence would make people uncomfortable. O'Neill later admitted he felt like she was confusing him with his character Al Bundy, treating him like some kind of Neanderthal. The rejection cut so deep that their feud continued for over 3 decades, with Amanda following what she calls the thumper rule. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. The second actor who made O'Neill's enemies list was someone you'd never expect. His own Modern Family cast members turned against him during the explosive 2012 contract negotiations that nearly destroyed the show forever. Sofia Vergara, Julie Bowen, Ty Burrell, Eric Stonestreet, and Jesse Tyler Ferguson all filed lawsuits against the network, claiming their contracts were illegal. But here's what nobody talks about. O'Neill initially refused to join their rebellion, creating a massive rift behind the scenes. The other actors felt betrayed that their so-called leader wouldn't stand with them in their fight for fair compensation. Tensions reached a breaking point when they boycotted script readings, and O'Neill was forced to choose sides. The atmosphere became so toxic that filming was halted, and for weeks nobody knew if Modern Family would survive. When O'Neill finally joined the lawsuit, some cast members felt it was too little, too late. The damage to their relationships was already done. What makes this even more shocking is that Sofia Vergara had initially worried about being stuck with the old guy for hours during filming. She expected Ed to be boring and difficult, which created an awkward dynamic from day one. While they eventually developed better chemistry on screen, the behind-the-scenes tension during the contract dispute revealed just how fragile their professional relationships really were. The third shocking revelation involves the cast of Married with Children themselves, who created one of the most brutal and toxic work environments in television history. Katie Sagal recently admitted that the cast was sarcastic and cynical, constantly talking behind each other's backs. "You weren't safe," she revealed. "Turn your back, and somebody's going to trash you." Christina Applegate discovered this harsh reality when she could hear the entire cast and crew talking about her through the dressing room monitor. She had just left rehearsal and was listening in horror as her colleagues brutally criticized her performance just seconds after she had walked away. This culture of backstabbing and cruelty poisoned the set for 11 seasons. Ed O'Neill, as the show's star, was at the center of this toxic environment, either participating in the gossip or failing to stop it. The psychological damage was so severe that Christina Applegate developed a serious eating disorder that lasted for years. The pressure of being constantly criticized and judged by her own coworkers, combined with the stress of being a sex symbol at such a young age, nearly destroyed her mental and physical health. But perhaps the most devastating feud of all involved a co-star whose identity O'Neill has kept secret until now. During the final seasons of Married with Children, there were persistent rumors about a cast member who was allegedly making life miserable for everyone on set. This mystery actor was described as creating such a hostile work environment that it affected the show's quality and may have even contributed to its eventual cancellation. The crew members who witnessed the dysfunction firsthand described it as unlike anything they had ever seen in their careers. Ed O'Neill has remained tight-lipped about the specifics, but industry insiders suggest this unnamed co-star engaged in behavior so unprofessional and destructive that it created permanent divisions within the cast. The fallout was so severe that certain cast members refused to participate in reunion specials or anniversary celebrations, citing the toxic memories associated with that particular individual. The fifth and final actor on O'Neill's enemies list represents a different kind of betrayal altogether. During his transition from Married with Children to Modern Family, there were several potential co-stars and guest stars who tried to sabotage his comeback. These individuals, feeling threatened by O'Neill's legendary status and popularity, allegedly spread rumors about his behavior on set and tried to convince producers that he was difficult to work with. Their goal was simple: destroy his reputation and steal his opportunities. One particularly vindictive actor, whose name remains protected by legal agreements, went so far as to contact casting directors and warn them against hiring O'Neill. This person claimed that Ed was impossible to work with, unprofessional, and would bring nothing but problems to any production. For months, O'Neill couldn't understand why his phone had stopped ringing and why promising opportunities kept disappearing at the last minute. The truth only came to light when a sympathetic casting director revealed what was happening behind the scenes. O'Neill was devastated to learn that someone he had trusted and worked with was actively trying to end his career out of pure jealousy and spite. The betrayal was so complete and calculated that O'Neill vowed never to work with this person again, even if it meant turning down lucrative projects. What makes Ed O'Neill's story so compelling is that these weren't just personality clashes or creative differences. These were calculated betrayals, deliberate sabotage, and toxic relationships that left permanent scars. At 79, O'Neill has finally decided that the truth is more important than protecting reputations or maintaining Hollywood's polite facade. His revelations about these five co-stars expose the dark reality of show business, where friendships are fragile and loyalty is often just an illusion.